Okay, let's see here. This is half a cup. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Seems 2 cups of rice. All right, that's going to be off to a good start here, I hope. Close this up, get it out of the way. And there we go. Ah, Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of what they call Cast Iron Wednesday here on YouTube, where a lot of the smaller cooking channels on YouTube have been doing a thing each Wednesday. Well, not every Wednesday for every channel, but I've been trying to do it every Wednesday, where we do a dish in cast iron, or otherwise do a video about cast iron on Wednesday because, well, really, it's fun. And it gives us something to look forward to, and it gives us an excuse to play with our toys, namely the cast iron cookware that we all love so much. And as always, I appreciate everybody who has been kind enough to show up here week after week, such as Corey Clark here. No, that was about a car, as I can see. But hello to everybody, to Debbie and Anna Wasilewski. Hello, Mad Mullet 1990, and Nana and Cynthia Wesley. Nice to see you here, and Rick Stumbow. So, well, as you can see, I repositioned the mic this week, so hopefully things should sound decent, or at least I hope so. But as I mentioned already, we are doing, I'm trying something different again tonight. Oh yeah, isn't that fun, trying something new on a live channel? What could possibly go wrong, especially in my kitchen? But as I mentioned, we are looking at some foreign food tonight, so to speak, because, well, it's really just because I felt like it. And hello as well to everybody showing up. I said, such as RT Scott, for instance, and Papa Dan having trouble with connection tonight. I'm sorry to hear that, although we hope you're doing better anyway, Papa Dan said. Sounds okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, it's like I just got the urge to really try a Middle Eastern dish because it's been a while since I've done so. And so I saw a really tasty looking shawarma earlier around Sunday or so, and thought, okay, that sounds like something we give it a try. And of course, I mean, thanks to the Avengers, shawarma has become rather popular here in the United States over the past several years or so, and why not? So and also, as I found out when researching this, it's really not that difficult to make either. So because of this, I'm actually going to start out, oh no, with an aluminum pot here, because the first thing I'm going to do is make some curried rice. But here we are. Let's show this for folks who may not have seen one before. This is from Wagnerware, of course, the Magnolite Dutch oven. Yeah, and Wagnerware was, of course, one of the biggest cast iron manufacturers in the U.S., so the Wagnerware logo is very well known. I was very pleased to come across this aluminum Dutch oven, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it because it is, well, as an aluminum pot, I found it's about the best water boiler I've ever had. So, Papa, you know, it's a wet Wednesday. Oh, you're not kidding. Here in New York, we finally had a return to some winter weather. We've had about a couple of inches of wet snow, although it's going to get up to almost 50 or so tomorrow, and it's going to change to rain. So hopefully all of the snow should be washed away by tomorrow, and that's nice because I didn't have a chance to shovel today. So, but first thing I want to do is get some rice in the pot, and then we will get on with our chicken here. So let's go over to the sink again. And first thing we got to do, of course, is wash out the rice. You know, like a lot of people, I was reluctant to wash my rice because I didn't see any point in it, except when I found out when you make basmati rice in particular. Yeah, basmati rice definitely has a coating that I found can give it a different taste if you don't wash it. So it's absolutely necessary, at least basmati, to wash the rice. And I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Well, maybe not. And besides, this won't take long either, so it's really not as difficult as washing rice as some folks may say. And I'm hoping we've got a good view here. There we go. Oops. Sorry. Oh, yeah. That'll do, I think. Anyway, this will only take a few seconds. Start off this way in order to rinse the rice. And I put it in a bowl, especially to conserve the water. Try not to waste it. All I have to do is run it through until the bowl is maybe about halfway full or so, like now. At which point, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the first rinse. So we'll clean that out. And comes number 2. I do this 4 times. So it may take a couple of minutes or so, but it's, as you can see, it's really not that difficult. I know the main reason to wash the rice is, of course, to get the starchy coating off. And I know as well some scare stories. 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you probably have heard as well, because scare stories, especially about food, abound on the internet. But there's talk about how there's arsenic in rice, and supposedly you could get arsenic poisoning. Although, considering the billions of people worldwide who have rice on a daily basis, I'm thinking that may not necessarily be all that risky. But even so, washing the rice helps to take care of that too. This is number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the last one. All right, and then we can get down to getting the rice ready, and then we will pull out some chicken and do shawarma. I've got a couple of pieces of vintage cast iron out and to do this in. So yes, there is going to be cast iron in this video, I promise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there we go. Our rice is now washed. Let me get over to the pot. Put that over here for now, and plop. As you can see, almost no sticking, so that really wasn't too difficult. Next, I forgot my measuring cup. I always forgot something. I learned that especially for cooking rice in particular. Oh yeah, that's right. One different thing that I'm going to do this time, in that I'm going to mix in a couple of spices, which is more than what I usually do. I usually cook it plain, but tonight throw in just a little, little bit of ginger. I hope that wasn't too much. I always do that. And just a little bit of garlic powder, but not much. I promise not much. There we go. That's really all I need for the garlic powder. And, of course, curry, because you really can't have dishes from India or the Middle East without curry. There we go, and that should be that. Now, from here, as I mentioned, I measured out 2 cups of rice, which means I am now going to be putting in 3 cups of water. That is 1.5 cups of rice. 1.5 cups of water for each cup of rice. I know the rule of thumb for a long time, and I followed it too, was 2 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice. But actually, I found that 1.5 cups is really all you need, so that you don't get overcooked rice. And I leave it in the pot. I should probably stir it a little bit because of these spices in here. But we're actually going to be bringing this to a boil uncovered. That's the other thing I've learned about cooking rice here. But anyway, it's really not that hard. And yeah, ever since I learned how to cook rice, I have never used minute rice ever again. Not that minute rice was bad. And you know, all my life I never did use boil in a bag rice. But anyway, hello again, everybody, to yeah, bets for rice. Do you put a lot of water in, then drain after 20 minutes? My New Orleans friend said that. Well, as you can see, what I did here was I rinsed the rice, and right now I'm just going to be boiling it uncovered first. Cynthia went to Bonnie and Clyde's and said, okay, John Sir 5, the chicken rice dish with authentic, oh, really? Well, I'm glad you like it. Oh, yeah, and I love the pagao, too, believe me. I mean, once I started cooking rice, that chicken and rice in cast iron, and I got that pagao, it's like the pagao is probably even better than the chicken. So, and only recently I've modified that recipe a little bit, and I really have to get a video done. I'm hoping, in fact, to do it by this weekend with the modified recipe, and that was the one that I kind of stumbled across on this live video a couple of weeks ago, where I cooked the chicken upside down. Then after an hour, I turned it over and roasted it uncovered, so that not only do we have rice and pagao, we also have chicken with a nice crisp skin. So that all worked very nicely. And Papa Dan, it sounds like you got yourself a good score as well. I eat Uncle Ben's rice. Well, okay. Again, I'm not going to be forcing my tastes on anybody. I never do. But all I'm doing is really just more or less sharing the knowledge that I've learned here, like simply how to cook rice. Because, yeah, that was one of many things I've only learned within like the past 12 years or so. So, but as I mentioned, in addition to this cast iron Dutch oven, not cast iron, this aluminum Dutch oven, yes, I do have cast iron waiting in the wings here. In fact, while we're waiting for this to boil, let us come over to our chicken here. Really, this chicken, I mean, it's the same as many other recipes for making chicken. This is going to be shawarma. In that, essentially what you do is you marinate it in a nice thick sauce here. It just, I mean, it's really the ingredients in the marinade that differ from from place to place. In that, you can look up on the internet for a recipe for shawarma, and that's essentially what we have here. You know, we've got yogurt, of course, and all of our usual spices here. There's some onion, there's some turmeric, and I don't think there's curry in this one, interestingly enough, although the turmeric definitely gives it flavor. So, and from here, once we do this, all we really have to do is get it over into our pan here, and we'll be roasting it. And here's another shocker. This is the good old Birmingham Stove and Range fish fryer. And we are thinking, why the heck did I line this with foil? There's no need to do that. Well, actually, I've got a tip from a recipe, from a shawarma video I saw from, again, one of my favorite YouTube channels, and that's Brian Lagerstrom, and I'm betting some of you know him. He made a shawarma recently, and he lined his pan with foil, and as he points out, this makes cleanup about 1,000% easier. So it's not really about the sauce touching the cast iron and affecting the seasoning, although there are tomatoes in that sauce nonetheless. But I like the idea of what he said of, you know, the cleanup may very well be a whole lot easier. So I figure I will definitely give it a try. Which means one other thing I've got to do, and I've got to actually turn on the broiler. In fact, that's the other thing that Brian Lagerstrom did. I'm going to give it a try, and that I'm going to be putting this under the broiler so that we can get some nice char on this, I hope. And yeah, these are nice big pieces too. I like that. These are boneless chicken thighs. You know, this might be the first time in my life I ever bought boneless chicken thighs. I mean, up until now, I've always got my thighs at least bone in. because I mean, that's the way I've done it, and that's the way I've always liked it. So, but nonetheless, this makes it easier, of course. Okay, I'm hoping. Yeah, it looks like I might end up being like crowding the pan here, which is not. Which is, I hope that's not a problem. But there we go. Yeah, it looks like just one more piece to go. So I can show. I should be able to fit that in. Since we're going to be broiling this anyway, it's not going to be slow cooking. There really shouldn't be any problem with liquid in the pan, or at least I hope not. There we go. And I've got a whole bunch of this extra sauce here too, which I might end up using. Well, I could always use it to make a little bit more chicken, perhaps. We will get that on. And I have turned on the broiler over at the stove as well. So, and Cynthia, pricing was good. The only main one that was a high, man, was BSR Dutch oven number 12. Really? What does that say? BSR number 12 bottom and a Red Mountain 14 skillet. Wow. I'm interesting. Wanted a deal for the skillet. Okay. How much did he want the Dutch oven for the Dutch oven? I'm curious about, because I am actually in the market for a Red Mountain number 12 Dutch oven myself. I do have a lid to go with it. So, but still, let's see what else we have here. As I'd mentioned as well, I'm encouraging as well, if folks want to mention what your favorite, I guess you could say, foreign dishes are, which really pretty much covers the entire world outside of your neighborhood. So, what was the authentic soy sauce called? Well, I'm betting if it was authentic soy sauce, it was probably a label that we couldn't read because it would be in Chinese. So, let me see. I'm just catching up with the comments here. California rice has the lowest arsenic of U.S. rices. Shellfish and shrimp. Well, yeah, there is that. Okay, well, it is welcome to the modern day world, I guess. That's the best we could say. Alma Wasilewski got my first CHF Chicago Hardware Foundry hammered skillet. Well, congratulations on that, and I do hope you get a lot of use out of it. That's my, I mean, I've said enough times that I want all of my pans to be users if possible. Of course, there are some I've gotten more use out of than others. I mean, I really love this oval fish fryer here. It started a number of videos. I've gotten a ton of use out of it, and really, it's like, folks, if you ever run across one of these in the wild and it's at a price you can afford, I can definitely say, again, you will get a ton of use out of this. I mean, you can use it as a skillet, you can use it as a griddle. The fact that it has so much space here, as you can see, I've got about maybe about 4 pounds of chicken in this in this pan here, and I'm going to be able to do this all at once. So, hello as well to Kimberly Miller and Val's Black Cat's Rules. Yeah, strep throat for the last few days. Well, yeah, I know all of the temperature changes that have been happening. Of course, that's almost inevitable. So. Okay, I'm just waiting. Do I have this high up enough? I hope not. There we go. Basically, I'm going to wait for the water to boil before I put the chicken in the oven, just to try to keep an eye on everything here. Because the way I was told to do this is we'll be putting this in under the broiler for 10 minutes and then flipping it. I am not used to cooking under the broiler, and I can only hope that I don't burn it. But the best I can do is check on it. So, hello, Shadow Walker XM, and so far everything seems to be doing good here. At least I hope so, and I hope it is for you as well. Tacos al pastor is a mix of 10 plus ingredients. However, it is red and slight sweet, not spicy. Yeah, that's the other thing, of course, about recipes, especially from the from India and the Middle East. As you know, they all seem to have about 500 ingredients for every recipe, and the comment is that I saw, yeah, and there's a god for every one of them. So, at least in India. Okay, my dad didn't put up with nothing. Nonetheless, folks, as I said, if you like to comment on your favorite, the favorite dishes, I guess that you can call foreign that you like eating, I mean, please do. Whether it's from the Middle East or Mexico or South America or Canada or other parts of the United States, because, well, as I said, that was what I'm hoping to see is maybe get some inspiration from as well, because I mean, as much as we all love our steaks and our burgers and our chicken and our cornbread in cast iron, I mean, really, cast iron can be used to cook anything. And so I am very much interested in trying to get as much variety as possible. Papa Dan, did you and your grandson make the cast iron cookie? Yeah, that's a good question as well. So we are getting close to the water boiling already. As I said, this did not take long at all. So let's move back over to here. Water is close to boiling. I think probably it might even be boiling. It's hard. I think probably the spices are clouding up the water, in fact. So in that case, I just made myself some fresh yogurt. Oh, yeah. Yes, as I said, Papa Dan couldn't tell if the BSR Dutch oven was Century or Red Mountain. Ouch. I'm sorry about that. He was asking $50. In its condition, that was too much. Yeah, I think I may tend to agree with you on that. Elsie's cat. We have a fried rice recipe that has sesame oil in it, and it's divine. Well, that sounds great, actually. Well, if you don't like turmeric, of course, there's no absolute reason to use it. I mean, there are many recipes out there that don't require turmeric. I did not put turmeric in this rice here. I simply used a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of ginger powder, and some curry. And it's definitely boiling now, which means all we do now is cover the pot, turn the temperature down to low, and let it simmer for 12 minutes. And that's 12 minutes, which means right now it's 8:21, which means at 8:32 I have to take this off the heat. But meanwhile, now that we've done that, it's time for our next adventure, which means I get to put this under the broiler and see if I don't ruin the chicken. Let's do this nice and quick. Top shelf, of course. And in we go. All right, so that's supposed to be about 10 minutes as well. So pretty much okay, I said 12 minutes for the rice and 10 minutes for the broiler. So yeah, exactly. Watch your fire alarm. Yeah, tell me about it. I am hoping to get some good char on this, though. That's the reason why I'm giving this a try. Because, well, as I said, I mean, this is my first time making chicken shawarma. So again, whoa, gee, trying something for the first time on a live video. Oh yeah, that really takes brains, doesn't it? However, once the chicken is broiled and charred and at the right temperature, of course, at which point then all we really have to do is serve it. In this case, I've got some tortillas, which is what we will be making in here. And this one, by the way, is another one of my favorites, the good old BSR Red Mountain number 8 skillet, which is definitely one of the main workhorses in my kitchen. So, Neches River Catfish, and I found a brand new in-the-box vintage lodge bass and mallard combo. Wow, they're asking $125. Ooh, okay. The wildlife series from Lodge, it's really for the collector's value more than anything else. I mean, for collectors, $125 for those two probably wouldn't be bad. Technically, the bass and the mallard, the fish and the duck, they are the more common of the of the vintage wildlife series. Much harder to find are the deer and the and the dog, which, if I remember right, was a I don't now I forget what kind of dog it was, but I would probably say, I mean, maybe you might even be able to haggle, but for a collector's value, $125 for both of them probably would not be a bad thing. And did you say they actually came in the box too? So if so, that would be impressive. That's if you feel it's worth it for the collector's value. That's the thing. If I sound hesitant, it's only for that reason. I mean, while I have, in fact, splurged and gone way overboard on a few cast iron items, I mean, I've said before, it's more for because I wanted to use those items. But my BSR Red Mountain makes the best cornbread. Exactly. So toasted ravioli are fun to fry in a chicken fryer. And yeah, I think I will have to give that a try too. I certainly won't disagree with that. Dehydrated red bell peppers and grind them in a coffee grinder until it's really fine. I only found out recently that's exactly how you make paprika. Well, no, apparently there are a couple of other peppers in there as well as bell peppers. But yeah, no, paprika, that's not its own plant. So that was a lesson I learned recently. I don't have a pellet grill, but I have a dehydrator. Okay, let me see. We are now at 8:25, so it's like at 8:32. The chicken, I check the chicken and turn it over. Whereas at 8:34, this pot here, this aluminum pot here, comes off the heat. So that's why I'm standing here, just keeping an eye on the clock. Some toast their rice before cooking it. Yes, I have, and it's been a little while since I've used it. But I have a simple rice pilaf recipe that does that. In that you toast the rice in the pan before you add the liquid and the diced onions to it to flavor it. So yeah, boy, it's been a while since I made rice pilaf too, for that matter. Toasted ravioli, exactly. Here's a question then, folks. I mean, as I mentioned, I'm talking about foreign food tonight. Who has pans that are made outside the United States? And no, I'm not just talking about Asia either, because there are, in fact, a number of pans made in Canada, a number made even in Mexico or South America or Europe. So I'm not saying this is a question to try to bash any country. Because, I mean, granted, cast iron pans are very popular, but then again, so are Asian woks as well, which I've commented on the difference between the thin Asian woks. And Rick Stumbaugh has a stove, nice. And congratulations about that. I did another splurge. I bought a chainmail anyway, the chain cleaner at Walmart last night. And that's only my Le Creuset. Handsome Stone, going to need to finish tomorrow. Oh, I see. Okay, pierogi and the cast iron. Well, there's another recommendation. Going to make cinnamon cake for my daughter. Well, all that sounds good. Has Le Creuset. Somebody says I can't pronounce that. Shetford, I guess. Oh, that would probably be Sheffield, I guess. Sad iron from England. I have several Le Creuset which are from France and some others made in Holland. They are enamel though. Have 12 made in Korea and it's excellent. We'll cook anything. Well, that's good then. The best I could say is to get a lot of use out of it. I've said my piece before that I try to keep politics out of my channel of cooking, despite the comments I've gotten on that TikTok video I posted last week. LT's cat. I think I finally pronounced your name right. I have a milled steel wok. And then Dean Reedy has my Lodge enamel Dutch oven. Well, yes, that is true. So Papa Dan had one Canadian and one Mexican sad iron heater. And well, considering that, I mean, do you use your foreign-made cast iron pans to make foreign dishes? That would kind of be appropriate, I would think. I mean, it seems like, for instance, whenever I use my South African potjie, I have an urge to make South African, or at least dishes from Africa, and that's why I've used that for making things like bunny chow and ground nut stew. I have yet to do what they call a potjie kos from South Africa, which is essentially just a fancy name for a meat and vegetable stew. Le Creuset enameled oval roaster I gave to my friend Dana. Well, that was nice for you. Seafood chowder has been my best meals this week in my lodge. Oh, man, that all sounds great, too. A nanner, I have pans made in Mexico, Denmark, France, and Canadian. Well, that's good. I'll also put a cracker in the jar. Oh, I see, to absorb humidity. But, yes, I mean, well, that's good. I'm glad to see people have cast iron from around the world. I mean, I love lodge. I love American cast iron. That doesn't mean foreign cast iron is worthless. Do that with my salt. Yeah, I have a friend who puts grains of rice in her salt, especially for that reason, to absorb moisture. And I'm not sure if I could get used to that either. So, on the other hand, well, we'll see how this rice turns out here. We're at 8:30, so we have only a couple of minutes to go on the chicken, whereas we have about 4 minutes to go on the rice. So hey, I'm actually tracking the time on this time. So love my Taiwan sauce pots, Korean skillet to death. And I use my Mexican camal for roasted vegetable for sauces. Well, that's true, actually. I do have a camal from Mexico, which I suppose I could get that out for when I use that tortilla, except it's kind of small, and I'm kind of, I'm not exactly upset, but I'm just really thinking that a larger griddle would be nice. Papa Dan, being from Louisiana, we consider Yankee Land as a foreign country. Yeah, so there we go. Foreign food with northern-made cast iron. Helps my wife is from Mexico. Oh yes, this is true. I mean, after all, here you are on a channel, on a YouTube channel that's run by a damn Yankee. So, and one who is still proud of his New England heritage, even if I did move out to New York. And it is 8:32, which means I had better check on that chicken as quickly as I can, which means time to get out the gloves and go from there. All right, let me do this right. I should probably move this over because I don't have the heat on yet. And actually, I probably have to move the camera a little back because of this, and so that I can get this out of the stove. And I have to say, I am seeing a little bit of browning here, but I'm not seeing any char yet. That's interesting. The broiler is supposed to be on high. Okay, well then but it looks like it's definitely bubbling though, so I will just leave it in for a couple of more minutes. That's surprising. I mean, it's supposed to be a broiler, and it's on high. I hope the broiler is working right. I should probably actually, now that I'm thinking of it, maybe I should even look in the oven and make sure the flame is on there. 1 more minute, and so it definitely did heat it up, though. I will say that. Isn't the broiler in the drawer? Oh, you may have a point. Do I even have a drawer on this? I'm not actually sure. Hold on, let me check something. I think you're right. I think I actually positioned it completely wrong in the oven. Okay, there we go. So yes, I did this wrong. The broiler should have been down there. I was basing this on a video where the guy has the broiler at the very top of the oven, so I goofed. In that case, I'm going to change the oven right now. And instead of the broiler, we're going to go to here, and we're going to get this to oh, maybe about 450. That should be enough. Thank you very much for the advice. I've just learned something thanks to you. And yeah, this is definitely something it'll probably be a while before I live it down. Okay, nonetheless, the other thing though is I'm gonna have to move this whole thing. Instead of the top rack, I should probably even put it on the bottom rack. Ugh. Although at least I can definitely say there's a little bit of browning though. It's definitely hot enough too. There we go. The drawer is for warming. Chaos meter engaged. Well, thank you very much. Meanwhile, it is 8:34. So now all we do is turn off the heat on the pot and move this off of the heat and leave it there for 10 minutes. And that's it as far as the rice is concerned. This is how we're cooking. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, pretty much, yeah, definitely there's some chaos going on in my kitchen, but what can I say? I'm learning as much as you are. I mean, I will freely admit, I don't know much about using my gas stove. After all, again, I used an electric stove for 12 years, whereas I've only been using this gas stove here for a little more than 6 months. So, yeah, your broiler is in the door on the bottom. Yeah, tell me about it. Mine, the bottom drawer is a warmer on most nights, on most things. That's a new one to me, so that's okay. At least I didn't burn it, so that's something. And now that now that I've moved this to the bottom rack, yeah, warp speed engaged. Well, here I was thinking at the beginning, this recipe is so easy. I may have done too soon. Well, guess what? It looks like because this is as usual somewhat more than an hour. It looks like it may take all that time to make this. Well, that's all right. As I said. As long as it turns out okay and it's not burned, then it should be just fine. And besides, this is, once again, what we call a learning experience. Your warming drawer probably has its own temperature control. You may be right about that, although I don't see any. And the controls on the top of this stove are very simple. I mean, we have bake and we have broil, and that's about it. Although there is a kitchen timer, which I should probably remember to learn how to use. So there's nothing about a separate broiler control here. Therefore, you were probably right about that being the broiler, and yet I will have to test that another time. So yeah, you're still under control. This is true. Things are still under control here. I'm not panicking. Because I mean, hey, if nothing else, I mean, the whole point of this channel is to entertain, and I would say we certainly are. Look, the temperature's already up to 450, so that's something, and that didn't take long either. That only took a couple of minutes, in fact. Okay. I like gas, but I have electric now, yes, and I know that well, as I said, I had an electric stove for all this time, and I think I'll mention again about, the rumor going around about them putting a ban on gas stoves, and I will say again, based on what I've seen here from legitimate sources, not conspiracy sites, no one is going to barge into your home and seize your gas stove. It's also highly unlikely that there will ever be any kind of a ban on gas stoves, largely because of their popularity. It is likely that new homes being constructed are probably more likely to have electric rather than gas these days, like it or not. So in that respect, I was lucky enough to come across this home with a gas stove. Apparently, the reason why they were even talking about it, this so-called ban on gas stoves, was because there have been a couple of studies recently that linked it to asthma, that having a gas stove running in the home has apparently contributed to asthma, especially in children. So Of course, I suppose we could argue that, if you've got good circulation, and especially with the windows open, I mean, see what there wouldn't that kind of cancel it out? And I don't have an answer for that. So, yeah, no ban on gas stoves, just cost $24 to boil top ramen. Well, there is that too. So, gas is more efficient and cheaper to use. Well, I certainly hope so, considering the electric bill that I got back in December. So, nonetheless, though, I really like what gas has done on my cast iron. I mean, I've already shown that off, and I'm very glad to continue showing off with later on, even later on this week here. If they did have the ban at the Christmas blizzard, we would have had hundreds die because of power outages. So I can only say that I am in favor of putting that story to rest, in that there is not going to be a ban on gas stoves. Yeah, exactly. That's BS. Just use the vent or crack a window. So most homes are so lucky you don't even need to bother. Well, of course, right now, here it is, naturally the middle of winter. So I have this gas stove running, and my windows are all closed. Although this is a spacious kitchen, I am in a nice, this home, I mean, has a lot of space. So, so no, I'm not going to argue over the pros and cons of this so-called gas stove ban. I'm only going to say again that I am really in the camp that is certain there is not going to be a ban on gas stoves, so nothing to worry about there. Yeah, 2035 in New Jersey, no gas cars or stoves. Oh, okay. So, yeah, meaning that they would probably not be manufacturing new ones. That's just it. They're not going to ban existing gas stoves. About 10 years ago, I'm not sure if anybody remembers, there was another conspiracy theory going around, in which supposedly there was going to be a ban on wood burning stoves, and this went around and all of the usual scare stories started going around on all of the usual sites, places like Alex Jones and like, about how they're going to ban your wood burning stove. And again, 10 years later, nobody even remembers that anymore. So that's about what I put on this on the story of a ban on your existing gas stoves. So, okay. Well, now that I've done that, at least this way as well, I can keep an eye on this chicken too, because it's in we can see it through through with the oven light now. So let's see. It's been about maybe 8 more minutes. And that looks pretty good, although with the way it's bubbling, now I'm thinking I probably should have put it on a rack, rather than just right there on the right there on the right there on the surface. So even so, I would have to actually, that's what I'll do. When I take it out, I think I'll actually drain it before I flip it. And we will go from there. So my thought is now the next time, whoops, that's too high. I think the next time I try this dish, I think I will actually roast it on a rack and see if it goes any better that way. New homes in the area have air-to-air heat exchangers. They bring in fresh air, so no worries. Yeah, no time propane for stove only. Yeah. On the other hand, I'm sure folks may have seen a few news stories every so often about a family that actually tried using a charcoal heater inside to keep warm during the winter, and quite often that story ended up with them suffocating from the fumes. So that is a real risk. And so no, that's definitely a no-no. Do not use charcoal indoors. Haven't been to look at cookies. Oh, I see. So, as I said, what I'm going to have to do, I think, is drain the liquid from this dish before I flip it. That's okay. You know, maybe I might even just put a rack in then as is. Let me see if I can dig this out. Because, again, oh, shut up. Because why not? This is kind of a learning experience as I go. I mean, I'd already said this is my first time attempting to cook this dish. With all the fast food places, we can use the spent oil for diesel. Yeah, I was wondering how to get rid of all that cooking oil I had from earlier this year. Isn't it supposed to be saucy? The bubbling looks good to me. Well, I think the recipe I was using said that the shawarma, you know, is supposed to be the kind that you can get on the street where it's, you know, where it's grilled and you have char on it. So, on the other hand, I suppose I could just leave it in for exactly that reason, as you say. I mean, even though it's not getting not getting charred, I'm sure there's definitely going to be a taste to it. So we could just continue from there. Let me let me give everybody another look at it. As you can see, there it is. Let me try to get, yeah, that's right, bubbling away right now. There we go. That's a pretty good view. It again, I have the oven up to 450 degrees, so it's really a question of getting it to the right temperature. And of course, that's just it. This is dark meat. These are chicken thighs. You really, it's almost impossible to overcook dark meat because, you know, it really doesn't dry out the way breast meat does. That's one reason why I use thighs here. So it's really just a matter then, from what you say, of waiting until it's done. So we might be able to do that. Yep. Okay, use a creme brulee gun and fire it up. I actually have one of those and I haven't unpackaged it yet. What is the silver pot on the top back? Okay, oh, this, well, once again, this is a Wagner Magnolite aluminum Dutch oven. It is from Wagner Ware, the same manufacturer that made those, that made all of those famous Wagner cast iron pans. And yes, I do have to admit I got it because it was Wagner. But since then, I've already said that I've actually fallen in love with this aluminum pot, and I've gotten tons of use out of it. I am not getting rid of my cast iron, and I'm not switching over to aluminum. But aluminum has its real advantages as well. As I've said already, this is the best water boiler I've ever owned, and the best, well, rice cooker. And in fact, I think I am at past the point already where the rice should be done. So let's take a look now. I've had it off the heat for more than 12 minutes, in fact, so means it's time to unveil some curried rice, basmati rice no less. So this looks pretty good. It means, oh, excuse me 1 second, I've got to dig out a nice big spoon for this. And I have it over here in my crock. There we go. And so this was 2 cups of basmati rice. And take a look at this. As you can see, this is definitely not sticking, nor is it hard either. We've got what I hope is some nicely cooked basmati rice. And plenty of it, too. So between this and the shawarma, I'm definitely going to be chowing down tonight, that's for sure. But there we go. As I said, all we had to do was rinse the basmati and cook it in that manner. So, yeah, I am really enjoying this. And, you know, that's the other thing, is that all of the big cooking channels, they recommend getting a rice cooker. Well, I've got a rice cooker, namely this Magnolite Dutch oven. So, Yeah, Magnolite is a pain to restore. Well, there is that. I mean, initially I gave it a good scrubbing with Barkeeper's Friend, and then I used aluminum polish, and also I used non-lye oven cleaner. The blue can, not the yellow can on it, and it actually turned out very well. Since then, though, I've been giving it a lot of use, so it doesn't look brand new anymore. Necious River Catfishing. I love Magnolite. I have about every Dutch oven and size roaster they made, along with 300 pieces of cast iron. Wow. They all have their uses in my home. Salamander, aka broiler, aka a creme brulee gun. Oh yeah, as I said, I've got one. I still have to take it out of the package, unfortunately. So under the oven and chaos in the drawer. Okay, yeah. Let's double check that chicken, shall we? This is actually looking pretty darn good, if you ask me. It's really only a question. Let me do this right here. There we go. Really only a question if it's gotten to the right temperature. So I think I will take it out and check the temperature, which means I get to move the Magnolite pot over here. We'll get this out of the way for now. In fact, I should probably cover the pot, in fact, until it's ready to serve. So, put that over here, and now get my gloves. Yeah, I am so happy. Got these silicone gloves for Christmas. Ooh, actually have to move back a little more. There we go. And careful. This doesn't look bad at all, though. I will have to say that, even if it is bubbling in all of this lovely looking sauce. I will say again, I lined this pan with aluminum foil as a suggestion, not because I wanted to protect the seasoning on the cast iron. I've made many dishes in this, but as somebody said, the cleanup is about 1,000% easier, so I decided to give it a try tonight. And now we get to take out our trusty thermometer here and see what we have. 100, 44, 50, 52, 53. You know, oh, well, this one says 177, 176, 175, 180. Oh, man. Except this one here says, well, it is still past 165. So, oh, yeah, that definitely means I'd say this chicken is done. So there we go. But no, I don't think it looks bad at all. So that means from here, I should break up my phone and get at least one photo of it. Although it's unusual looking for chicken shawarma, I will say that. Nonetheless, we'll do it this way and an angle shot. Okay, that means we can put this aside and proceed now to step 2, which is let us start heating up the BSR number 8. We don't need to get it too hot because all we're going to be doing here is toasting a tortilla or two, which, as you know, does not take long at all. What I'm actually supposed to do is while this is heating up, I'm supposed to get this out of the pan and start cutting it up. Especially since it's all this, all this liquid, though, that's going to be kind of messy. So how are we going to do this, since this did not turn out quite as expected? I've no doubt it will taste good, though. Let's see. How can I do this? Okay, we will have to put this over here. Oh, son of, that was not smart. And okay, that's how we'll do it. Let's get out the cutting board and the knife. Okay, here we go. Trusty chef knife. And don't want to burn myself on this. Where am I going to do this? Excuse me. I have to clean up a mess here. Get this out of the way. Keep this out of the way. Always something. Yeah. Julia Child Kitchen, this is not. I'll be the first. I mean, you folks already know that. Yes, do it. I'll leave that here. Put this back. And from here, I know I have another trivet. Here it is. Another trivet, which means I can put that over here so that you can see everything. Here it is. Here again is the chicken. And we'll just put it right over here so that it is well within reach. Just want to be sure it's also within shot of the camera. And then we will just do some quick and easy chicken slicing. So let's, I guess, yeah, there we go. Okay, I think I'll lower it instead and raise the angle slightly. There we go. That should do. Now, rinse off these tongs, and then finally we'll get down to it. There we go. Ooh, definitely nice and hot. In fact, should probably even, hey, this might work. Then from there. Oh yeah, this is definitely cooked chicken. It's practically coming apart, so that's not a bad start. And another one. There we go. And there we go. And there we go. And there we go. There we go. Right here, we have enough for at least one or two shawarmas or tortillas already. This doesn't look bad at all, I would have to say. I mean, I hope you folks agree with that. So, one of my favorite KitchenAid hacks is to use shred carnitas. Okay, yeah. Oh, I see. Definitely juicy too. It is definitely not dried out. I have no problems there. All right, what I need to do now, actually, get a plate, and then that way we'll have a tortilla ready, which means now we get to go back to the cast iron, to our BSR number 8. And from there, I trouble. If you were to make this yourself, you would probably be able to do it in half the time that I can. And is this actually too big? Oh, joy. Okay, now I didn't expect it to be this big. Oh, well, I'll manage. You would probably be able to do it in half the time that I can because I'm talking all through this. I mean, if you were just simply concentrating on the cooking and not talking to a live audience here, you would probably get this done in like about half the time, nonetheless. And now I'm thinking I should have brought up my 12-incher. Well, well, we have it done now. And besides, anyway, this is going to be good because we'll be able to fit the chicken on the inside. How does the audio sound choppy to anybody else? If anybody could say, how does the audio sound? Apparently, William Hurt is having some difficulty, and somebody else says yes. Okay. I'm sorry about that, folks. Okay, testing, testing. Let me make sure it's set properly. There we go. Okay, I hope that does. Okay, somebody else's audio fine here. Okay, sounds good here for a change. Well, thank you. But that was the reason why I got this new mic anyway, because I wasn't really satisfied with the audio quality of my old mic, and I was hoping to have something a little better. I can see it still may take a little bit of adjustment, but I'm working on it. All right, and now from here. Okay, good. We are toasted, which means next, how am I going to do this? Move this over a little bit. Means now we move over here and we do our tortilla brown side down so that we can lay in some of this chicken, which I know we need to do in the center here. It's probably more than enough. There we go. And wrap it. Oh yeah, it's definitely hardening. And once we do that, let's try to do it right. There we go. Once we do that, back over to here as best as I can anyway. And we toast the other side with the chicken in it. Or at least that's my hope. Okay, I can see I want to keep it this way. Maybe I should have done the other side first. But yeah, anyway, as you know, toasting this tortilla will also harden it so that it may not be the quality of a street burrito. Oh, watch myself. But on the other hand, it should work just fine. I really hope I don't have the heat up too high. Now for the fun part. Get to turn this over right. Come on. Try again. There we go. Okay, and with that, just in another few seconds, and we will have one. Cut meat into large pieces. Use white meat. Use main beater and bowl. Super easy and hot. Shred the chicken and add the rice to turn off the oven. Good point. Turn off the oven. Thank you very much. Yeah, I definitely it's like the internet is teaching me how to cook. Boy, that's a little scary actually, if you ask me. And we're probably about done by now anyway. So let's get this on. Oh yeah, there we are. I think just in time. So there is a tortilla shawarma, which again may not be at the quality of a restaurant, but as you know, the taste is really what matters. On the other hand, the other option is, of course, to simply, where did I put it? Here it is. Start serving the rice. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. Start serving the rice on the side here. Which means 2, 3, and this is plenty. And for this, we can top with some more of the chicken. And there we go. So that really was not difficult to make. As I said, if this was some kind of a cooking competition for street food, I would be in last place. But, of course, it's not. I'm an amateur, and what's most important is the taste. So I'm not going to gobble the whole thing in front of you, but let's see if we can sample a little bit of this. See how it turns out. Come on. Should be able to separate this. All right, let's do this. Because, yeah, I'm really more interested in the taste than anything else. Because, oh, yeah. Now comes the other thing that we need. Let me get this out of the fridge because I prepared this in advance. Careful, Trouble. And that would be tahini, which is essentially like a sesame sauce. It almost has the consistency of peanut butter. And in most instances, they're supposed to drizzle it onto the shawarma. But I don't think there'll be any problem with just simply spooning it on like this. And with that, we now have try number 2. And then I will stop gorging myself on camera. This definitely goes good with it, I will say that. A lot of these recipes for shawarma use a simple garlic and yogurt recipe. So if you're not interested in trying something different and exotic like tahini, you don't have to. But either way, this is definitely, oh, and I can feel the heat in this too, in that there is actually some chili paste in this shawarma coating. So it's not burning my mouth, but it definitely, it definitely wakes it up. So so far it's doing good. George Fenn, my son picked up a skillet a while with a tank logo on the bottom. Actually, yes. We've seen a number of those pans from Taiwan. I think they have a logo from something like XKS or something. The tank logo is apparently there for decoration. It does not imply any kind of military use or anything like that. It is, but those Taiwan-made pans are actually very well known. So the best I could say is that it's a nice novelty, and it's nothing, it's nothing to worry about. But on the other hand, it's not a collector's item either. So, but he can still display it and have some fun with it. We do a dollop of hummus on our tortillas. Yeah, tortilla is a skinny pita. We have a large Indian community in Central American. Funny enough, no fusion. Well, you can always work on that. Hi, Trouble. But that is the case with that Taiwan-made skillet. It could date maybe around the 1980s or so. That would be my best guess. I mean, maybe there's an expert who might be able to more precisely date it, but nonetheless, as I said, you don't have anything rare, but it's definitely a fun pan to have and to use. So he figured it referenced the event that never happened. Oh, you're talking about Tiananmen Square, I think. As far as I know, that is not related to that. In fact, it was probably a couple of decades before then. So, but yes, no, I remember Tiananmen Square. Okay, so take a bite of that burrito. Well, I should probably do that, I guess, just to keep you happy. Yeah. So here we go. Oh, this is If it says Taiwan, not much on it, I don't think, but Chinese and Taiwanese are not good users. No, they are good users. I'm sorry. And yes, they are too. Really, the big problem with Asian-made cast iron is the politics, and some people do, of course, have a lot of issues with the politics, and for them, well, of course, that is their opinion and their choice. So, other than that, though, the one thing that I've taken pains to say again and again is that regardless of the politics, Asian-made cast iron is safe to use. Even if you don't like it, it's still safe to use. It just means that if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. And that's really all that needs to be said there. So hummus, garlic, garbanzo beans, tahini, lemon, and a pinch of salt and olive oil, all of which sounds really good if you ask me. And Papa Dan from Magnolite found a lid for $17 and several months later found the bottom. Nice. So I guess that must be one of the larger Magnolite pots, since they seem to be selling at lesser prices than the cast iron. LT's cat, I had a Taiwan griddle that was amazing, but the handle broke off when I dropped it. Oh, my condolences on that. Well, I guess that's the other thing about Asian cast iron, is that a lot of people consider it to be, well, expendable because it's not the same as, say, a Griswold, for instance. So that's also why people get cast iron, especially for camping. But nonetheless, as I said, I mean, I have a couple of Asian-made pans in my collection as well, and I still make a point of using them as much as anyone else. Yeah, there's definitely some spice to this shawarma. It's not, at least the way this recipe did it. So, as I said, it's not burning my mouth, but there is definitely some spice to it. But then again, you could say that about a lot of India and Middle Eastern dishes too. They really do like the spices out there. So I'm actually really not complaining about this, and this is definitely going to be a big dish for my supper as well. So. Are you feeding the vampires? I guess you're talking about garlic in that case. So, a couple saucepans, but I want the oven. All right. But nonetheless, I mean, all this time during the chat, as I've said before, I mean, please feel free to ask questions and answer questions about about usage of cast iron, about cleaning cast iron. I have no problem with answering these questions as best as I can, and likewise, there are other folks on this channel who are more than happy to help answer them too. Because yeah, that's really the thing, is that while I'm busy here doing this cooking, I mean, I encourage your conversations. I don't, you don't just have to simply sit there and watch me and make Mystery Science Theater comments, unless you want to, because as you can see, as we saw tonight, my cooking is hardly professional, and I tend to usually make at least one mistake every week. So far, there have been very few disasters, though, and so I'm still happy with that, and that's one reason why I keep doing that. So most Asian pans seem to have a heavy pebble finish. Well, that is true too. You know, people talk about modern-day lodge as having a rough surface, but when you compare it to your typical Asian-made pan, like from Dollar Tree or Walmart's Ozark Trail, for instance, the lodge pans feel positively smooth compared to that. So, and so really, but even so, you can still cook in those rough Asian-made pans. I've done so. Although this video is a few years old, I did a video where I did a full unboxing and testing of a $10 Asian-made pan from Big Lots, rough surface and all. And I made bacon, and I made eggs, and I made cornbread on that pan. Do you use that Big Lots skillet you bought for that video? To be absolutely honest, I ended up donating it and giving it away not too long after that. But I mean, after all, with my cast iron collection, you know, it's like I really did not have a great need for another pan like that. So it served its purpose, and I was happy with it. But again, I gave it away, and with any luck, it's still being used today. So. But I mean, besides the fact that I've got quite a few modern day lodge skillets as well as my vintage skillets, that's my excuse. And so happy for you, Corey. And still going down here. Cynthia, you can tell I'm feeling better. Well, that's good to hear too. Oh yeah, Ozark Trail. Yes, yes, the famous Walmart store brand of all their cast iron and all of their camping stuff as well. And with Ozark Trail, I've definitely found you get what you pay for. You know, Ozark Trail. That's the only brand of cast iron I've had so far that has actually cracked in half during use, and only a couple of months after I got it. Actually, I got it as a present for my friend, Mama Bear. I'd mentioned her before, and she told me she was cooking with it, and it just gave a loud bang, and then it split in half just like that. So, and it had only been a couple of months. So that was the last time I bought an Ozark Trail cast iron pan. I'm not saying that it will happen to you if you have Ozark Trail. I'm only talking about the experience. I also know not maybe a couple of decades ago, in fact, I got an Ozark Trail tent for camping, and it lasted all of about one summer before it was really coming apart. And that was the last time I got an Ozark Trail tent. Since then, I've been brand conscious when it comes to camping equipment, and my tents I've made sure to have been Coleman, because I have no complaints at all about that. They're excellent for learning on, George Spain. My daughter-in-law has gotten much better after using cast iron. I told her it's probably because she has to get better about temperature control. That is true, even myself included, in that I made the same mistake that a lot of people make when first learning to cook in cast iron. I had the temperature up way too high, and I ended up warping my Prize Lodge cast iron wok, and it's still warped. In fact, I've learned a lot about temperature control since then. So, let me see. Okay, well, it says April 29th to 30th is the National Cornbread Festival. So yeah, you will have a lot of fun there and do a camping video. Well, as a matter of fact, I've got a camping trip planned with friends for this coming June. So we will, and in fact, I'm hoping to bring probably my Bayou Classic 4-gallon pot there and make some jambalaya there. So that I'm definitely looking forward to doing. Do you have any vintage combo sets like Blankenship Jones? I'm afraid not. At one point, I did come across the deep skillet for that one. The one that's shaped like a chicken fryer from one of those combo sets, and I ended up actually selling that one because I didn't get any use from it. That's the problem with my collection, unfortunately. I do my best to try to rotate through my collection, and yet there are still some pans that I find myself using less than they should. And there was a time about 3 years ago when I seriously needed to trim my collection. So I took a whole bunch of those pans to a flea market and set up a booth and sold them there. In fact, my table was sold out after about 90 minutes. So I was actually able to close up by about 9 o'clock in the morning. Partly because the vast majority of those pans were scooped up by one of the Brimfield vendors, who swooped down and bought up practically my entire table. So came across a Wardway 1432. Any idea what it is? My understanding is Wardway was made for Montgomery Ward, and it was done by Wagner, in fact. So so you got yourself a nice Wagner pan, and hopefully you got a really good deal on it too, because as you know, the antique vendors tend to put lower prices on things they don't recognize. Several years ago at one antique place I was at, I saw sitting literally next to each other a Griswold, which had like a $40 price tag, and a Puritan, which had a $15 price tag. Guess which one I picked up? Especially because that was actually made by Griswold. So there you go. Hard to find. Blankenship and Jones combo is complete. Yes, it is. And I don't see how they've been able to do it, in that there are some photos on the internet with people who have more than one complete collection. But they have to be in the southern United States in order to do so. Love my Wardway, really nonstick. Exactly. Wagner was quality material. So. Yeah, they on one, Rick Dees and Corey. But having said that, as mentioned, really it's pretty much any cast iron pan, as we know, will work great in the kitchen. And so for a lot of people, their first cast iron pan tends to be the one that they keep for almost the rest of their life, whether it's Asian made or vintage or modern. So I mean, I still have my Lodge cast iron pan that, again, was the first one that I ever had. On the other hand, I'm very proud of my BSR Red Mountain that I used tonight, and I'll definitely be using both of those quite a bit in the future as well. Take another bite or two. Looks okay. Well, if you insist, ha ha ha. I mean, because yeah, I've got no complaints about this sauce either. The chicken and the rice. Definitely. Spicy. Your rice is drying out. Yeah, I know. I had better finish that off right away. So, on the other hand, this is basmati rice. So this is doing pretty good. No, it is not dry yet, but yes, it will dry out if I don't have this soon. So that may very well be say that it's about time, because we are at about an hour and 20 minutes anyway. Even so, as always, I mean, there's still 101 people here on this channel in this live, and I'm very, very grateful for that. That's really the point that I do like to make, is that I do my best here to entertain you folks with my attempts at cooking. As I said, this was my first time making shawarma tonight, and I think I could definitely improve it. But I'm still definitely going to be able to finish this. There's no problem at all there. Even so, next week, okay, I had said that the first cast iron Wednesday of each month would be a cast iron Q&A on my rack. Well, I'm actually going to have to postpone this. Why? Because next week is the 1st of March. And what happens in March? Well, what I've been doing at the beginning of every March, it's corned beef time. That's what we are, because yeah, at the beginning of March, I love getting together and making corned beef so that it'll be ready for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, I just said that. It'll be ready for St. Patrick's Day, because we are starting to get into that time of year, folks. Just today at the supermarket, they had a shamrock display and some soda bread. So even though homemade soda bread is probably better than what they have in the store there, what I do really love making is homemade corned beef. And this is something that I have been pushing time each year, simply because when I first made homemade corned beef, I was shocked at how much better it was than the stuff from the store, and less expensive too. I mean, store-bought corned beef is good. Homemade corned beef is so much better, and it's easy too. So because of this, I have been taking the time to try to push everybody. You know, after last week's TikTok, I've been accused of pushing an agenda. I can only say that next week on Cast Iron Live, I am going to be pushing my agenda. a corned beef agenda as we see the preparations for some corned beef, and that is going to be next week on Cast Iron Wednesday. And I hope you folks like it. So yeah, exactly. We like brown basmati rice with curry chicken. Well, here we've got some curry rice with the shawarma chicken, but I'm not complaining about that either. And yet, well, my agenda, if nothing else, is to have fun in cast iron. I do occasionally dip into my personal beliefs in politics on my channel because I can, but I don't do it regularly. And although it seems like every time I do, there are some folks who are upset about that. But I'm not making a regular occurrence of it. However, we are getting into time now, and I do have to finish this before it dries out, exactly like you said. More importantly, it is a work night. It is Wednesday night. And so, yeah, we do have to get going to bed because, well, we still have a couple of more days until the weekend. But even so, I very much appreciate everybody who takes all the time to come here for Cast Iron Wednesday on this channel. And I mean, a lot of the names I recognize at this point, like Rick Stumbaugh and Nessus River Catfishing, Pawpaw Dan, Debbie, Randy Duffy, and Dean Reedy, and and again, it really makes it a lot of fun to do this on YouTube Live because you folks are here and you're taking part and you're commenting and teaching me things, like how to use my stove, for instance. And I very much appreciate that. So I can only say thank you very much to everyone for stopping by, and we will do all this. We will do this yet again. So thank you everybody for your time, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.